Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the new tutorial. Today we are creating this pretty popular effect of very cinematic, a bit of abstract but very powerful looking RBD collision and sort of explosion. I know this is a very commonly used effect, and we even did something in one of my early tutorials, but it was a breakdown, not a step-by-step tutorial, and I understand as we get more and more Houdini beginners here, it might be beneficial for you to actually see a step-by-step with all the little tips and tricks explained. Being a pretty popular effect, I haven't found like 101 RBD collision tutorial on YouTube, so yeah, here's my way on creating this effect. Alright, so here we are in Houdini, and let's drop a geonode and dive inside. Of course, the key step of this tutorial is getting or creating a few rocks or whatever geometry that you want to collide. But these two rocks, two alembic rocks that we will be using today, were very kindly sent to me by our friend and patron with the username Flamingo. So big cheers to him. And look at these beautiful rocks. I mean, we can do a lot with them. Let's start building our setup for one rock, because then we will basically copy that setup to another rock. So let's drop a convert node, because this is alembic and we need polygons. And as we convert, we can see very nice mesh with a sort of proper UVs, but I think we need a bit of fine details here, just a bit, because they will be pretty close up in the frame, you know. So let's drop a remesh and remesh this for the target size at 0.02, and then let's drop a mountain node. Of course, right now, if we add the mountain, we can see some artifacts here and some glitching. So our amplitude should be 0.03 with a noise type of purulent flow with an element size of 0.02 or 0.5 sorta. Yeah, this is still a bit too jiggly. So 0.2 or 0.1. Yeah, 0.1. 0.1 is good. 0.2. Yeah, I would say this is optional if you have I don't know, some displacement maps, some good displacement maps. We will be creating our textures with noises, so a bit of help in the geometry itself would be appreciated, so that's why we drop this mountain. If you are skipping the remesh and mountain step, you can probably skip the labs outer UV step here. But because we remeshed it and applied mountains, and you can see right here the UV is crooked, we will go and drop the outer UV again here. And then let's drop a color so we can distinguish where each of our rocks is. So this one will be green. Be sure that you go with RGB green, so 010. And yeah, for this one, we can basically copy it to the second rock that we have right here. And then we need to drop transform after the color. You can do that before color, but I mean, it's easier to see. And I know that this one should be 2 at Z, and I already know the angle that I wanna get this one rotated. It will be 81.4 on Y, and the same goes to the second rock. So this will be -2 and rotation will be 91.5. Now if we merge these two, you will see that they are pretty aligned. Oh yeah, let me just set the color to be a red 100, and yep, this looks pretty good. So now let's talk about RBD, because if you are doing it like the old way with the Voronoi fracture, chances are you're not getting that, you know, the wow result. Just because the new RBD here, the sub-level RBD configurator and solver, has quite a few things that helps you to enhance the look. It progressively gets harder and it progressively gets slower to simulate, but this, unfortunately, that's a price to pay for really detailed and really, you know, the cinematic with a lot of impact, you know. So yeah, so RBD material fracture right here, and yeah, here's where the actual magic happens. So you can see as soon as I highlight this node, it starts to calculating something, starts to break these up. We can drop the exploded view and we will see how this already cut our geometry. Not the best option to cut the geometry, but luckily we have all these controls right here. So the key point here is to know where you wanna stop, like where you will tell yourself, all right, this is looking good, because you can spend hours here, and as more details you introduce at this step, the heavier your simulation will be. So yeah, there will be a fine line between how much details we have, how it looks, and the simulation time. Generally speaking, this is quite fast. This is faster than the fluids or solid bodies or something. But yeah, here for the primary fracture, I usually go with with actually like 2, maybe 3 levels of the scattering. But for our first layer, I want to go with 9 scatter points. I know I used this before at the seed at 0.3, and then the most important part is to play with these noise frequency values. With this one, I want to go 1, 2, and 3. 3 right here. And this already gives us something better looking that we had. And we also have a second layer of the fracture here. And we can play with it, set the scatter points to 10, and maybe try 1, 4, and 4, not the 14, 4. Yeah, so we kind of break these to the smaller chunks right here. And maybe not that small of chunks, but yeah, let's leave it at this one. I think with the scattered points at 5, this is the best result that we have, but this still doesn't look realistic, nowhere near realistic. So we need to introduce chipping. Go to the chipping and check the enable chipping here, and you can see we have all these small chips right here. These are extremely cool. So what we need to do is set the corner depth here to be 0.15. So, you know, these chips we have more of them chipped from the corners, and they break the shape of these chunks. You can play with these values. The higher the chipping ratio, the more chips you will get. At 0.55, I think we're good at 0.55. And yeah, this already looks a bit better, but still we have a lot to do. Let's go to the detail. So here, the thing that is absolutely crucial is the interior detail. And you will see just in a minute why it is crucial, because of all these noises in the interior of our chips. And grease weights, I don't really know what's the grease weights is. Yeah, but also let's try edge detail just in case. Oh yeah, look at this one. I like edge detail, definitely. And I want these details to be smaller, 0.02. And you see it takes a lot, not a lot, but a bit more time to calculate. And I don't know if these are some sort of glitches or the artifacts, but we might want to get the noise amplitude in the interior detail lower, so at 0.15. Yeah, you know what? This, combined with all the stuff that we will add, I think it would be pretty cool. Now, we need, yeah, we also need constraints, of course. So this all can stay just default. It's all good. We need to drop RBD configure right now, where we will set the properties of this or these two RBD objects. So let's go into the RBD configure. What we need to transfer is, besides the velocity and W, would be UV and CD. And basically that's it for the RBD configure. I'm not really sure why they became black and red, but we need the color data, right? And if we, yeah, then we don't have the color data. Let's go with the black and red, whatever. All right, now RBD bullet solver. Yeah, the king. So connect the constraints and the geometry. And here's the thing. Here are a few things that we want to do. In the setup, all is correct. In the properties, we don't need bounce and we don't need collision padding, I would say. Friction, rotational stiffness is all good. Maybe just a little bounce at like 0.1. What was the default? 0.25, so maybe 0.05. Collision, all good. Let's also decrease the bounce on collision, so 2.2. We don't need gravity here. And for the constraints, and this is crucial, so we will need to remove the glue constraint that we have right now. We will get back to this one later, but yeah. And also, very, very important thing here is to go to the advanced tab, go to the bullet solver, and set this freaking sleeping time to 0. This caused me so many headaches because this is basically some sort of a threshold that at some point your simulation might just freeze if there's not much going on there. Make sure you get the sleeping time to 0. Now, it's all good, but now if we play it, I'm pretty sure, yeah, nothing happens. So let's go into the RBD solver. let's dive inside. And in the pre-solve here, we will be wiring up our forces. First of all, we need to collide them. So this pop velocity into the pre-solve the group. Yeah, see, now we have red and black. Let me just check, yeah, in the colors. No, you see? So interesting, it's rendering as black, but it's actually green and red as we did before. So we should target the red one, so add CD.R equals 1. And then we drop another pop velocity that targets only the green one. So cd.g equals 1. For this one, it will be, the red one will be -5 and pop velocity will be 5. Now, if we played, oh no, yeah, the vice versa. So 5 and -5. Right, so yeah, this doesn't look really right. Before we will fix this issue, let's add pop drag here, just to make it like closer to the slow motion velocity. Not the slower, but just like, bear with me. And pop speed limit. Alright, maybe for now we can bypass the pop speed limit. Just want to show you what happens here. So at the frame, I would say at the frame 9 or even 8. Yeah, at the frame 8, we should go to the RBD solver, this subnode, and in the constraints, we want to release soft, hard, and also the glue constraints. We want to release them at the frame 8, and the mode is set to delete constraints, so the frame 8 will be the last frame where these two have constraints, and boom, what an explosion, not an explosion, but yeah, the collision with a lot of destruction, things flying away happening here. Yeah, this looks cool, like this. We probably can set these two pop velocities to be active up until frame, I don't know, 20, so up until frame 20, so stellar simulation frame less than 20 for both this one and this one. So let's see. Yeah, this looks good. All right, cool. Now you see this little fella, where it was, probably somewhere here. This one, who ate all the drugs in Amsterdam. Yeah, him. Right, this one right here. So yeah, pop speed limit will help us. We just wanna limit maximum spin to 0 and 1. And yeah, now it should be much better. Yep, looks very good. Looks very good. Like, nice. So of course this looking good, but a lot of stuff needs to be added. So after the RBD bullet solver, right after it, we drop the retime node, and for this one we will actually be retiming it like really slow. We will need just these 30 frames here, and we will be getting around 300 frames from them. So it's pretty harsh retiming with a speed of 0.1 and the input frame range just 1 to 30 and output frame range 1 to 300. So yeah, but I would say there shouldn't be any issues with this retime. Make sure you don't retime UVs, by the way. And after this one, you can unpack them. You want to transfer V and probably CD. Yeah, now we have the correct colors here. Yeah, let's maybe check what do we have right now. Yeah, it's definitely getting slower, a lot slower, but the destruction should be, yeah, look at this looks so cool. Yep, this definitely looks pretty cool. A lot of different stuff can be added right here. So yeah, now let's drop the split node, and we will need to split by color. So basically CDR equals 1. And just in case you want to apply different materials, yeah, you can do whatever you want here. I will just drop like 2 colors so they are the same color. Just showing you how to use the split here, by the way. Don't tell me that I could just use one color. Yeah, of course. Yeah, then we drop the RBD, then I'll call it out RBD. Right, this all looks pretty good. Another thing that we need to do is to get ourselves the non-retimed version of this RBD solver. So let's drop null here, and for this one we will just unpack here, transfer the V, and yeah, connect this RBD to this one. So yeah, this is the non-retimed version or our simulations, additional simulations. And what we will be adding here is dust and smoke. Let's call this geo the RBD. Let's drop a new one. Oh, well, we have an issue here. Wow. One thing that I love about Houdini is the fact that it actually saves the crash files. So we still have our RBD. Yeah, here, let's go to the retimed version. This will be out just the simulation, RBD simulation. So yeah, drop another geonode, call it dust. And for this one, we will do a few things. So first of all, let's bring our RBDs in the dust. So let's go and check the RBD out sim right here, the retimed one, not non-retimed actually. And then let's bring our, you know what? For this one, I think we should go with the already retimed. Yeah, because I had a few issues right here. I will show you the way how to retime your simulation in post, but I think for this pop network, I actually went with the already retimed because this pop network is relatively very easy to simulate. And yeah, basically drop the debris source, which is the node that will create everything for you. So here it is, just let it cook. I usually go with like 600 density or 500 density with a distance threshold of 0.01 probably. And the key factor here, because right now you will see, yeah, that's basically how this debris source works. Spawns a lot of particles, and then there are particles spawned on the parts that are released. What we don't need these right here. So remove unreleased, and then here you should have your particles that are right here. A bit jittery, but only when it's cooking. When it's fully cooked, there's no sort of any jitter here. Lifespan, you can leave it at 1, because if you go with a remove at life end, yeah, then it will be removed. But we don't actually do it like that. We will use different techniques to remove the older particles. But essentially, yeah, after the debris source, you can just go and drop the attribute wrangle where you specify that your P scale is 0.001. Or yeah, any number you would like to see here. Then pop network, this is very crucial. So you can see in this object merge, we will have the V attribute on the points. So look what happens when I plug this into the pop network. Yeah, of course, let's play it again, send the pop network. Oh, yeah, probably still need to go into the pop network, right? So we should go with the old points here, with the burst, impulse activation at 1. Yeah, all sounds good to me. Right now you will see, yeah, this huge impact. It's not bad, you know, and I think we are removing them at the end of the life, or no, probably just need to uncheck the lifespan. And yeah, so I'm not sure if you really need this much of these particles. I would just go, well, like when the impact happens, so till 120 probably. Yeah, so in the source first input, the burst impulse activation should be till $SF less than 120. And yeah, of course, the velocity is pretty high here, so pop drag, and we will also need to decrease the velocity. So in this attribute wrangle, we can just specify that our @v equals that same @v but divided by 3 or 5 or something. Yeah, let's play it right now. Yeah, this looks better. This definitely looks better. Probably a bit of pop wind won't hurt into the drag it goes. From what I remember, our pop wind should be pretty high, the amplitude. So amplitude 5, let's see. Yeah, probably pretty high, so maybe a 3. And yeah, and this also should be like till frame 90, I would say. Or 120, smash frame 120. So in the end, looks like this. Probably we can just divide the velocity by 2 on a 3 just to make the impact, because of course there will be a lot of motion blur, right? But you know what? I don't like this part where you can like really see where the pop wind. Oh no, actually you cannot. You know what? Let's bypass the pop wind for now and set the pop drag to be 1. Just so we have more of that impact in the particles. So it goes boom. Yeah, I think this should be good. Yep. And for these particles, I want to do just one little thing. So I want to fade them out as, you know, it's like something borderline between dust particles and smoke. So let's drop a color node here, and we will bind the attribute called age to the opacity of my particles. So I need to set the age here and probably do it like this. So yeah, here you can see these particles will fade away at some point, maybe at 2 or 3, 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah, this looks good. Cool. We will probably cache it out later, but just in case, after the pop network, you just drop the file cache and you cache out all the frames. This is a very fast simulation, so there's no need to actually retime this pop simulation, but we will need smoke, which is another geometry node up here. It's called smoke, and here there will be a few tricks. So for this smoke, we will need object merge, as we did for the particles, but we will need the non-retimed smoke. So let's get back to our frame 1 and let's bring in out sim. Oh, and you know what? I forgot one crucial thing in the dust particles. Is right now they will definitely go through our rocks. But yeah, look at this one. We will need to introduce the VDB from polygons to make the collider from our out RBD. And this one, I would want to go with 0.02 something, so we have the detail. We have the really fine details, so yeah, 0.01 even. And let's drop the collider null here, so null out dust collider. And in the pop network, yeah, that's the thing that I completely forgot. So static object merge, we merge the pop solver and the static object here. Make sure the static is on the left side, and for the static we go the subpass out dust collider with the collisions collision guide. Let's check. Use volume collisions with the active object transform and deforming geometry, and definitely we want to go with a by volume sample mode and division method by size with a proxy volume of out dust collider. This will make the pop simulation slower. Yeah, especially we don't need to display geometry, we don't need the collision guide right here. It will make it slower a bit, but it will make sure that these will be kind of not like a mutual colliders, but our particles will be pushed out not only by the force they have, but also the VDB collider. Let me simulate to the frame 120, and yeah, essentially we can make this pop solver start at the, or no, we should go to the pop network here, and this pop network can start at the frame, well, when they collide basically, so frame 74, I guess. Yeah, start frame 74. So we are not wasting our time. Yep, like this. Some of them will go through the colliders, that's perfectly fine, but we can probably also add a VDB reshape SDF to make the collider just a bit smaller than it is in the real world, so like 0.11. And in the pop network here, we definitely want to output just the pop object, not the static object. And yeah, this will look better. I just remember that because in the smoke here, we will need to do kind of the same. So this is our out sim, and we want to bring the VDB from polygons here, and also VDB reshape SDF to make them a bit smaller. But yeah, VDB from polygons, set the voxel size to be 0.01, and VDB reshape SDF, it will be an road with an offset of maybe 1.7 and 1.8. Yeah, these are the colliders. Now let's set up the pyro stuff. First of all, we will need to delete a few things. We want to delete the outer layer because I want to spawn the smoke in the inside layer. So we delete the chipping. Do we need to delete chips? Let's delete the chipping outside, fracture 1 outside, and fracture 2 outside. All right, now we have only the inner parts of these, and we can drop the pyro source right after these. So for this pyro source, we will initialize the source smoke, density and temperature, all the default stuff, volume, rasterize attributes after the pyro source smoke, and we should rasterize the density, temperature, and velocity. Cool. Of course, this is not the level of detail we want. So let's, first of all, let's set the particle separation to be 0.0. Let's start with a 4, probably, and then copy this parameter and paste it into the voxel size of the volume rasterized attribute. So paste relative references, and then plug it all into the pyro solver. We plug, for now, let's plug just the volume rasterized attributes. So in this pyro source solver, we need to do a few things. So this voxel size, paste relative references right here. For the collision, for now, leave it as it is. For the sourcing, limit source range. This is very crucial because we don't want them to source right here, right? We want it to start sourcing when it hits. So let's check the frame when it hits. It's the frame 9. All right. So this starts at frame 9. Let's go back to the pyro solver. Let's uncheck the cycle length. And this goes from 9 to probably like 15 something. Because again, it's just the impact, right? Or I mean 12. Let's try with a 12. Start frame here can also be 9. And for my fields, dissipation, we don't need flame here, just the dissipation. For the shape, we don't need buoyancy, we just need the default disturbance and turbulence. And I actually left them default here. For the look, we don't need this material here. It will mess with us when we will be shading the pyro. For the output, yep, all the default stuff in the output. Let's see what we have right now. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty good sort of explosion. So for this one, I want to go with, again, plugging in the VDB reshape here. But just plugging in the pyro solver won't work, because if you go to the collision tab of your pyro solver, you can see right now it's expecting the geometry, but we have the voxels. So SDF plus volume velocity would be the thing that we need. And you can see if we middle mouse on VDB reshape SDF, it says that there's just one volume called surface, but pyro solver is expecting the collision SDF. So we just need to rename the collision to be surface so it matches it matches surface, it matches this VDB right here. And now if we play it, yeah, it became slower, but at least now it respects the position of our rocks here. So now the trickiest part. All right, not the trickiest, but because yeah, after the pyro solver we go to the quick setups here and we go to the sharpen volume, and now yeah, the trickiest part is here. So I spent quite a lot of time trying to fix the retime of the volumes, because retime of RBD, man, you can go like 0.0001 and it will be still interpolated quite nicely. For the volumes, it's not like that. So this is the thing that I found on one of the streams of the amazing Houdini, I don't know, artist, designer, technical developer named Kunz. You probably, all of you watch his streams, can say that I have like 3 hours every weekend to watch them, but they are packed with tons of information, so yeah, be sure to check them out. They are amazing Houdini learning resources. And yeah, there's the thing with substeps, you know, because right now if we retime this simulation like to 0.1 of its speed, it will be extremely steppy. So here's the deal, we should go to the pyro solver. I went with a 6 substeps, global substep at 6, min and max also at 6. It makes the simulation slower, it makes the caching 6 times longer, but at least not 10 times longer, right? We try to save as much time as we actually can, right? So, and here's the deal, we are outputting this not as a file cache, but as a raw geometry, and we are rendering the frame range. We are rendering from the frame 9 till the frame, what it was, 25? Well, from 9 to 12. And here in this right window here, we're gonna select or type 1 divided by the number of steps we use, so 6. And here in this file, I'll go heap geo smoke, and right where the F is, we type the, you know, this little, how do you call this sign, but yeah, I mean, and pad 0, and here you can see it basically returns a string padding a number to a given length with zeros. So basically, I know we can go with $4 $N right here. Close the brackets and let's simulate this cache. I usually just use my cache from the previous simulations, but this time I want to show you the full length of this one. So let's save this. Now we can bring it back with a file node here. You will see I have the geo and I have the smoke right here. Let's load it up, and for now you will see we just have these frames and sort of in slow motion, right? But not really. But you will see here we have a lot more of these kind of file cache files, because we actually wrote each substep into its own file. So now it's basically playing back each substep, each frame, not each frame, like it does. Let's probably do the proper way. So let's start from 1, simulate till 30. So now we should have all these frames rendered, but it's not from the frame 1 to 30. It's actually 6 times more these frames. And you can see a bit of time there's nothing, but then we have this simulation. It's already sorta slow motion, but yeah, it's slowed down just 6 times. Now we need a retime, so let's drop the retime node here, and we are not going by speed, we are shifting the range, and not shifting, sorry, we are fitting this range. So from 1 to 30 becomes 1 to 300, and we use the volumes interpolation by voxel position. And if I did everything correct, we should have this aligned. Let me check where my RBDs are. Turns out that here, of course, we are not in the frame range from like 9 to 30 or 1 to 30. We are in the much bigger frame range because we rendered all these timestamps, all these substeps. And then in the retime here, we just fit this range of the substeps inside from 1 to 300, and input frame range here would be around like 6. This is where you kind of need to guess, but till the last frame of all the substeps that you have rendered out. And this is basically, you know, if we render one substep, the distance between the smoke on the frame 1 and 2, it might be too big to for the retime to actually interpolate between this. So yeah, John used this expression right here, but I think that in our case we don't even need it because yeah, the smoke looks very, very smooth. You can also go with you know, a bit detailed smoke. I think I went with like 0.2 or 0.1 actually, but yeah, this all combined should look like something very, very interesting. Let's wait for our dust particles to cook, and we'll talk about setting up the camera and lights. Lights are super important here, but yeah, we'll talk about all of that. So as you can see here, our dust particles are done. There are so many of them. Yeah. We will need to tweak the opacity a bit. Let me, I understand this tutorial is taking a bit longer than you expected and myself. So let me just, yeah, copy a few things that I have already done. Let's talk about the lights. Despite of, yeah, I'm not setting them real time, I want to show you a few things that you want to sort of consider when you are creating these setups. We also need to talk about the materials. Let me set up them right now. So I need to, we'll go through them, but let me just, yeah, get them set up. RBD, or the rock material dust is of course the particles, render object as particles with a global scale multiplier at 1, and with the material that's called dust. And this is the smoke material, and we will talk about it later. So render as smoke. Alrighty, cool. So let's save this, fire up the redshift, and yes, of course, my camera just straight top-down view with a focal length set to 80. Nothing too fancy here. Just want to make sure that, yeah, post effects, nothing in post effects for now. This will be post effects heavy, but yeah, let's wait till we have the first render out here. And we have something's here already. Yeah, you should definitely go with a lower resolution of the smoke. Let's talk about all of these independently. Let's talk about the lights. So I started with this RS light dome, and if I disable these two lights, one up here and one on the bottom here, you can see it looks good, but you will lose a lot of details. And then I added this light on top, and it shines like on this part here. And when these are complete, like before they collide, it just adds a little bit of highlight on the top of the rock. And then right this one down here, this is even more crucial than that top light because it highlights all these little chunks at the bottom. You know what? We can keep the intensity around 8 so it's not blowing out these little chunks. But essentially, yep, this looks okay. Not good, and I will tell you why. But for the materials, I usually create all my rocks by just doing some bump maps, and you probably saw that in a lot of my tutorials. I use Maxon noises for the bumps on the rocks. You can see them here. In my setup, I used color data. As you like remember, we split these two rocks into different geometries, and we could paint them different colors, and then we can use these colors in this ramp right here and use that as a diffuse color. Again, Maxon noise, gaseous noise for the roughness maps. Make sure all of your noises are UV vertex attribute, like bound to that. Yeah, dust is just dust. Again, very rough grayish something, but the key thing is here to bind the particle attribute lookup, which is CD, to bind that to the opacity. And the CD, you remember we bound that to the age of the particle, so they sort of fade away as they age. They fade away with time. And then this volume here, which is the smoke. I don't particularly like how it looks right now. I think it lacks a lot of details. Let's try maybe fixing it up a bit. With absorption coefficient, I want to go with let's try with 2. It will be more dense, you know, like this one. And 2 is an overkill. Let's try with 1. And the scatter coefficient of the density 2.1, 3.2. Yeah, I think this is the best we can get from the low res smoke. Yeah, you should go with a higher particle separation. And like lower particle separation, lower voxel size, and more detail in the smoke. But there are a few tricks that we should utilize. Let's bring our dust, let's bring our RBDs. For my dust, you know what? I think, yeah, let's isolate the dust right now, and let's make sure we don't have that much of that dust, because this is definitely an overkill. So here I can add RS ramp and make sure that it goes like this. So we basically remap that age value for our dust particles. Yeah, I think this will be enough. But the key factor of this setup, this scene, is to use lots and lots of motion blur and lots of bokeh. And for the bokeh, we can isolate the RBD, for example. And yeah, also the post effects are crucial here. Let me show you. Oh, we actually have them somehow. But yeah, for now, let's uncheck the bokeh. I use these color controls to make them more contrasty, and yeah, up the exposure a bit, up the contrast. For the photographic exposure, I usually use that solely because of this vignetting here. And yeah, the bokeh is the king of this setup. So for this one, you should aim somewhere kind of in the middle or to the closest. So these, yeah, these are nicely faded out. You can see the COC radius is 0.110, which is pretty high. But yeah, works pretty well for this one. But again, as I said, the most crucial part here is the motion blur. We go to the RBD and we go to the render redshift obj actually and hit the mesh deformations blur from velocity attribute. For the dust, we do the same. And for the smoke, I didn't do this for the smoke, but maybe we should try. Yeah. And before we enable these, because it will take time to render, let's configure our motion blur. Let's go to redshift ROP. With the redshift, we go to the advanced tab, and here we go to the motion blur. Enable the motion blur deformation in instances. All the blur is enabled, and let's restart the render and see this beautiful motion blur. When the collision when they hit each other, there will be a lot of the motion blur, but we can set the start to be higher value and the end to be lower value in order to get not that much of that motion blur. But to be honest, I really love how it looks. Yeah, and the same goes to the dust and then the smoke. These frames are quite heavy. I just want to check if our smoke is in sync. And yeah, I think it is. It definitely is. You definitely want to go with the lower resolution of the smoke. That's how it is. Dust is good. And yeah, as I said, this takes a lot of time to render, but listen, once it's rendered out, it looks absolutely stunning. It's super noisy right now, I know, and all these particles up here, they look like fireflies and stuff, but yeah, try this effect. It takes time to get the desired result because it's all about the tweaking. Not only RBD, but you have like 3 layers that you want to tweak: RBD, dust, and smoke. But this effect is super versatile. It's very good idea to have it like have this setup prepared, and then you just plug that into another project to tweak some bits, and you have this amazing result. Alright guys, I think that's it for today. And thanks a lot for watching. I took a little break and right now I'm on vacation, but I'm doing my best to stay online from time to time to answer your questions, and I'll be back with another tutorial very soon. Bye!